An Olympic dream not just postponed, but violently shattered. An athlete who once represented his nation on the world's grandest stage, now representing something far darker. This is the story of Ryan Wedding, a man who went from chasing gold for Canada to running from the law with a multi-million-dollar bounty on his head. What drives an Olympian to become an international fugitive? How does a snowboarder from the 2002 Salt Lake City Games transform into El Jefe, a figure alleged to have overseen large-scale narcotics trafficking? This isn't just a fall from grace, it's a nosedive into infamy, from Olympic hopeful to alleged cartel affiliate, from national pride to most wanted. Ryan Wedding's story begins like many Canadian winter athletes in the mountains. Born in 1980 in British Columbia, he grew up immersed in snow, speed, and adrenaline. By age 12, he was already making waves in the snowboarding scene. It wasn't just raw talent, it was charisma, daring, and a fierce competitive streak. At 18, Wedding struck gold at the 1998 Canadian Snowboarding Championships. It was a breakthrough moment, proved that this kid from Whistler had what it took to go international. His aggressive style, fearless tricks, and natural flair made him a standout on the slopes. The road to the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City was anything but smooth. Wedding battled injuries and financial hurdles. Canada's support for snowboarders in the early 2000s was minimal, and he had to scrape by on limited resources, but somehow he made it. At the Games, he competed in the men's halfpipe event. He didn't medal, placing 28th, but his run left an impression. To those who knew him, it still felt like the beginning of something big. But what happens when the Games are over, when the cameras are gone and the crowd fades? For many athletes, the post-Olympic slump is real, and for Ryan Wedding, it would be devastating. After the Olympics, Wedding's trajectory stalled. Sponsorship deals never materialized. Competitive results declined. Canada's limited support left him struggling financially and emotionally. He fell into the high-octane nightlife of Whistler, parties, drinking, and recreational drug use. At first, it was typical athlete behavior. But soon, friends noticed a shift. The celebrations became escapes. The Olympic athlete was starting to unravel. In 2004, things escalated. Wedding was involved in a bar fight in Vancouver that resulted in assault charges, the first public signal that something was off. Then came whispers of mounting deaths. The real turning point came in 2005. United States federal agents arrested Wedding in San Diego in connection with a cross-buster ecstasy trafficking operation. This wasn't a petty bust. He was charged with conspiracy to distribute narcotics and transporting drugs across the United States-Canada border. In court, Wedding seemed contrite. He admitted to making grave mistakes. The judge handed him a 70-month federal sentence of nearly 6 years, but he served just under 2 years before his release in 2007. It was meant to be a wake-up call, but instead of redemption, it became the beginning of a much darker chapter. Prison changed people, and for Ryan Wedding, it transformed him. Behind bars, he reportedly made connections with members of organized crime, including outlaw biker gangs and individuals tied to Mexican drug cartels. His background as an Olympian earned him a strange kind of respect. His intelligence and discipline made him an asset, and when he got out, he was no longer just a snowboarder, he was an operator. When he returned to Canada and began building a criminal network, he moved quietly, using connections from his athletic days to establish routes and contacts. Ski towns became distribution hubs. Snowboard bags were used to smuggle drugs across borders. His injuries gave him access to prescription opioids, which soon became part of his expanding enterprise. By 2010, Wedding's operation allegedly moved cocaine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl across North America. He built an intricate system of couriers, stash houses, and encrypted communications. And he ran it like a business, efficient, ruthless, and highly profitable. El Jefe wasn't just a nickname, it was his new identity. With his domestic network thriving, Wedding allegedly soared international scale. By 2014, investigators believe he had forged direct ties with major Mexican cartels, including factions of the Sinaloa Cartel. He provided routes and retail connections across the Pacific Northwest. They provided supply and muscle. The operation became more sophisticated. Wedding used burner phones that changed weekly. Proceeds were laundered through shell corporations and cryptocurrency wallets. Cartel enforcers handled security and intimidation. Violence soon followed. In 2016, a man with ties to a rival drug ring was found murdered execution style in Arizona. Though charges were never filed, federal investigators reportedly suspected Wedding's involvement. Then in 2018, a Canadian informant said to testify against one of Wedding's associates vanished in Vancouver. Authorities believe it was another message. Betrayal would not be tolerated. By this point, Wedding's operation was reportedly trafficking over 200 kilograms of product per month. He wasn't just another trafficker, he had become a major player in the drug trade. In 2021, a multi-agency investigation involving the FBI, DEA, and RCMP launched a coordinated operation targeting Wedding's network. Dozens of arrests followed, along with major drug seizures. But the man at the center, Ryan Wedding, slipped away. He vanished just days before a warrant could be served. Authorities believe he fled to Mexico with cartel assistance. He may have altered his appearance by growing a beard, possibly undergoing cosmetic surgery. Intelligence suggests he moves between safe houses in Sinaloa, shielded by powerful allies. Former friends describe a man who learns quickly, who adapts. The same focus that propelled him to the Olympics now fuels his life on the run. He studied law enforcement methods, mastered counter-surveillance, and cut nearly all ties. He's become a ghost. Ryan Wedding's story raises haunting questions about how athletes are discarded after their prime, about the razor-thin line between drive and destruction, and about how a man once cheered by a nation became one of its most elusive fugitives. As of today, Weddings remain at large. The snowboarder from Whistler, once chasing medals, is now running for his life. From Olympic glory to underworld infamy, from national hero to international fugitive, this is the ongoing story of Ryan Wedding.